What is up, guys? It's your boy, GRC. This is Crypto in the Morning live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. I said that so many times in Vegas. I was on autopilot, Crypto in the Morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, every day. I didn't even tell people who I was. I was like, I do it every day. You find my shit. Because Sam has been holding it down. And I cannot wait to ask Sam how it's been going, not from a crypto perspective, more so just by talking to this audience directly perspective by yourself, right? It's different. He does streams by himself all the time, but I don't think he's done that many crypto streams by himself. So it's also fun that I want to talk to him. How has it been? I have a feeling he's making, not going to say that word, stupid gains. I have a feeling, I haven't looked at any of his stuff, but I mean, what can I say? He's been going. Sam Stolt, for everyone in here who doesn't know, he's on a mission. He's like tied to Hex, like HEDRON's tied to Hex, but he's tied to the moon. So it's kind of like he just keeps going. But I'm just excited about what he's getting into. I haven't talked about him about any white paper stuff he's been messing. I know he's been messing with it, but we're going to talk about a little. We're going to get into it. I'm going to talk about Vegas a little bit later. Obviously, if anyone has little questions about Vegas, they can ask them. Generally, we're just going to be talking about crypto, LP opportunities, team opportunities, Maxi perpetual staking pool opportunities. Because to be honest, I went on vacay. Okay, so I'm like, I want to get involved. I want to learn. I want to see these opportunities. Everyone thinks we were just talking about HEDRON for many days, and that's because it was a very relevant subject. But again, guys, we're not pushing anything because Sam is just like, I'll never make money unless I push HEDRON. No, this is the dumbest thing ever. We just liked the calculations. We liked the upside, and we published it for weeks straight, okay? That is just how that works. Everyone who thinks I'm creating a narrative, I could give a fucking shit about whatever narrative. If HEDRON goes to zero, I don't even give a shit because we're so early. That's what people don't understand. In crypto, we're so early. No one's here yet. Sam Stoltz have not been here for years on end yet. They haven't they're meeting people. Dip Catcher, Alex from HEDRON, Richard Hart, myself. We're all connecting on feet. We're all doing this thing. We're here because we want to talk about the truth. I could care less if I make $10 million or 7.1. Oh, go. No, it doesn't matter, guys. Me and Sam love the truth, and you'll learn that because we're going to be here for a while. And Sam has been talking to me about the truth for 6 years straight. And do you think I'm just going to switch it because people no. We're going to talk about the truth as we see it on this channel. Thank you, Sam, so much for holding down the channel while I was gone. It made my trip possible. And I would have done the streaming still. But literally everyone told me while I was there, like, bro, you got to stop working. Right when I got there, Sam, I was like, give me a mic. Give me something. I need to work. Literally, they're like, bro, grab a brewski, get in the cabana. Let's go to the penthouse. You need to chill. And after 2 or 3 days and watching the show and just letting it go, thank you so much for Bullish and Sam. They were streaming on autopilot on my channel while I was chilling, and I was so happy. It was so awesome. I like having a team. I don't want to be by myself. I don't like being by myself. Anyway, guys, Crypto in the Morning every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. I just got back from Vegas. I feel incredible. Okay, so let's get into it. DeFi proof, everybody. Let's get right in.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking no blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some HEDRON, I'm making it rain. Pay me some Maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready sent me to show you the way.
DeFi proof.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Yo, welcome back, dude. Get a little bit of a haircut there. Looking
Right
good.
before I left, my girl and my mom was sending me money in my debit card account. She's like, "You're not allowed to go to Vegas. You're my son. You have to get a haircut." The whole thing, and I was like, "I'll get it."
Hey, I'm glad you're back. We've been having some great streams this week, covering all sorts of crazy shit going on.
Tell me, can you give me a $5? Can you give me Can you give me a few minutes and just tell me, like, come on?
We covered more stuff that we're going to be talking about today, but we weren't with the source. We talked about Maxi, we talked about Base, Desi, and that whole team of what's going on over there. We talked a lot about. We're basically getting a preview of Pulse Chain with Ethereum fork, right? So there's Ethereum fork where you're going to get copies of all your shit. There was a lot of interest in that episode.
Did they copy? Rich?
It's going to be launching pretty soon, and we're going to get copies of all our shit. So we'll basically get a preview of what's happening with Pulse Chain. It's just not as well marketed. There's already a bridge out. There's already a test net out.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but that's it's just true. It's just true. I want at the latter half, Dip Catcher's in the green room, guys, and I just want you to listen for a second. At the latter half, I don't know how much Dip Catcher's been paying attention to other things other than his project because he was on vacation. So I don't know if, like, in the morning he kind of like peruses stuff. But first of all, those guys are absolute god mode. I mean, on the dance floor alone. I know. Like, if you get bullish of guys because of how they dance, I do. I do.
Yeah,
like,
Dip Catcher on the dance floor, throwing it down.
Well, I'm bullish on Gold Key because he could get a man or a woman to fall in love with him at any moment. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, no, for real. He's the most beautiful man you'd ever seen in your life. And it's great because he's one of the nicest hype men, kind of, you know, those guys that are there to make sure everyone else feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And themselves at the same time. Like, I don't know him personally, but him and Dip Catcher are just like that. They want to know about your life. They want to know how things are going. And then they want to rip up the dance floor for 2.5 hours straight. And I'm like, I'm bullish. Like, I'm so bullish. But okay, but obviously, guys, this is a crypto show. We're going to get into the technicals. We're going to invite him on here. Can't wait to talk.
Let's get him on here. Let's get started. I'm excited. Maybe we can hear some interesting stories about Vegas because I believe he was out there. I think I saw on Twitter that he was out there. So we're looking forward to that.
He was,
and we'll get an update of like how Maxi's going.
Exactly. We're going to get an update on everything. I need this to be serious for 20 minutes because I actually have to do crypto stuff today. Like, for real. Like, I need to get my damn crypto computers out today and focus. But I haven't made moves on team yet. I haven't, and I'm, you know me, I'm very patient, so it's okay. And I have the founders here so I can talk to them. Let's bring them in here.
Perfect. There he is. What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys?
A deep voice.
Dip Catcher, for everyone who doesn't know, this is the founder / co-founder. I don't know exactly how it goes, of the Maxi staking pools. And after the amazing success of the Maxi staking pools, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, please, you're going to have to go back a little bit and do some research. But the Maxi staking pools were one of the most successful projects I've ever seen launch, ever, really. Like, as smooth as you only won. Like, you literally, if you got involved in Maxi, you won. Like, you didn't lose, period. Like, that doesn't happen in crypto. So it's very interesting. You guys were very clean with this, but let's get into the straight. Dip Catcher, it was amazing to meet you, by the way. You're an incredible human being, and I understand why you and Gold Key work together so long and intimately because you guys have a really good connection, obviously.
Yeah, man, it was awesome hanging out. It was really cool to just put like a face to the name and, you know, just meet people in person, you know, because it's like we spend all our time online and we're behind the screen, but then there's something special about that in person connection. And it was a lot of fun hanging out.
I think all the potential lies that people could be spilling kind of simmer away when you're in person because it's Sam could not come up to me and sell me some bullshit in person, maybe online. Like, you know, like what I mean? Like, it's like when I see Sam in person, he's smiling, asking me how my family is. It changes the interaction you have with the man. Yes, I put money into your protocol. Yes, I made amazing gains. But I never knew what the end goal was until I looked into a man's eyes and saw that I say this stuff. People don't like it. But, you know, you can feel that there is a presence of something greater in certain people because they're letting that guide their life rather than trying to take control of every little thing. It just seems like you guys are on a spiritual path along with trying to be better people every single day. And I just can't tell that until I touch a man's hand, other than Sam, because he called me for 6 years straight. And it's like, you know, it's like, how often we be? But anyway, so thank you. All of that. It was amazing to meet you. These guys are amazing. But let's get down to business real quick. And I'm going to let you and Sam go back and forth for a second, because truthfully, Sam is probably more locked in than both of us on this shit. Like, seriously, like, so you came out with Maxi, you launched Team, the perpetual staking pools for Maxi, for everyone who's in here. Tell me what's gone on so far. Give us a little just classic layout. How have you felt about it? How has it been different from the original? And some takeaways from it, just from a non-like technical point, but more so as the founder.
Yeah. So, you know, like you said, we launched Maxi in April. About 294 million hex was pooled over a 2-week period. And that was when the price was higher. That was about $50 million. And so since then, it basically just like doubled in value measured in hex. It's like the market priced in 3 years of its earnings. There's also some dynamics with this team launch that kind of factored into the price, but that kind of was the first like example of, you know, stake pooling. You know, we had the transferable stakes because HEDRON had launched, you know, a couple weeks before we did, and so there was the HSIs. But then this is really the first, like, you know, stake pooling, and the stake pooling is important. Like we covered on the last time, you earn more yield than staking on your own because the bigger pays better bonus. And then also the main piece, the main value is the gas fee savings. Rather than everyone paying for their own gas, you just pay for the gas to end the stake at once. And so
that's what you think the main value is.
Users.
That's what you think the main value is. We can't see into the future.
Yeah, well,
but that is a huge value chunk. Like, there's literally like at a premium, like you don't have to pay for the horrible Ethereum gas fees, which we all bitch about all day long.
Yeah, and what the value that people have experienced so far is that there's a chance for it to trade above the underlying asset value, because so far it's earned about 10% yield, but the price is up like, you know, 112%, and so it's you know, got these different dynamics, and there's kind of something for everybody with these pools. And so with that, there was a
hey baby,
there was
my girlfriend's watching. Sorry.
Oh, cool.
Hey, great to see you. I hope we can all hang out too in the next event, maybe.
Yeah, but so, like, you know, there was so much interest with those pools, and, you know, people were asking for new pools, different things, and so we rolled out the perpetuals, and so those are stakes that span from 1 year with base, 3 years from trio, 7 years in lucky, and then 10 years in desi. And with these pools, it's like once they end, there's another minting and redemption phase at the new rate based on the earnings, and then it just rolls forward. And so it introduces this kind of like flexible staking ladder that auto compounds your yield. And it lets people kind of span the whole length and risk and yield spectrum to just kind of, you know, build a staking portfolio that just fits in with their, you know, lifestyle, what, you know, what timeline that they're on, you know, how much risk they're willing to tolerate. And so, you know, so that's what we just rolled out on Monday. And so far there's been about 84 million hex pooled across the 4 pools.
Congratulations.
Desi in the lead with 48 million in Desi,
wow,
followed by base, which has about 12.65 million. Trio has 12.4 million, and Lucky has 11.69 million.
Is it fair to say that sometimes the fact that the hex price is lower could actually deter some people because they're getting pinched down so hard that they just want to stop moving shit? And this is just me, quick conjecture. Like, when we were up at those levels, like, money felt a little bit more loose. Like, I would have, like, I spent a lot on Max. And just saying right now, for me, I'm a little bit more in like, hold on, boy, pay attention, because, and it's not about you, it's not about Alex from HEDRON, it's not about anyone, except I know crypto is a volatile asset. What do you think about that when it comes to the amount that
yeah, absolutely, because, you know, the you know, people are, you know, more sensitive to, the value, because when we launched Maxi, the price was like, I want to say
about 10 or 12 cents, I think.
Yeah, or it was higher. It was like almost 20, because the
I
Maxi
sold
price
all
was
my
high for
Maxi at
24.
11 cents, and it was Hex was moving down, and I wasn't aware of the market cycles yet as well as I am now personally. I'm gonna.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was 12 cents. Yeah, and which is funny, because that's was 80% off the highs, but even that at those levels, it appeared high for a lot of people, and so yeah, you're right that the sentiment, and then also a lot of people are kind of overexposed right now, like, because people, it's like the bear market, and people want to like reclaim those high gains, and so people have kind of spread themselves out. So there are some dynamics with just kind of where we are in the market of people feeling kind of tight on cash, and then also just with other things in the ecosystem kind of spread out a little bit. But what I think is good with these pools is that it's just like holding wrapped hex, and whereas like with Maxi, it's like even though it went straight to a premium, like it realistically could have traded at a discount for a while, but with base, the shortest one, that's like basically just like holding liquid hex, because it's earning at like 11%. It's pretty certain what it's going to earn in a year, and it's redeemable so soon that like it doesn't make sense. Like if you get a discount on that, like that'll be a race to buy that one. More so than like there's not so much of like an urgency to buy a discount in the longer term ones, because you have more time and it's less certain. And so with these, for like the shorter term stakes, for instance, those are really just like holding liquid hex. And so, perhaps, people could, kind of approach it that way, where it's, just like they're still holding on to what they had. And then that's what's cool about these pools, is that it's like they're fully backed and like over collateralized. They only gain in the collateral that's underlying the asset. And so,
so that's
right about the market cycle right now.
So I wanted to actually ask you about the collateralization of team in later on, but you had mentioned that Deci has gotten over 50% of the total, right? 85 million roughly hex, and they're at 47 million hex. Was that what you were expecting? Did you think that most people were going to go into that, like over the majority of that is going into Deci? Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, I thought so, because the first pool, and probably the main pool people were asking for, was a 10-year.
Because that maxes out the longer pays better thing.
Yeah, max out longer pays better. Different timing in the cycle. Comes out before the 15-year one does. And so I kind of thought that, and also because so many people just had awesome experience with Maxi. They kind of wanted that similar. They wanted to run it back with like a one. And where people are hoping that it prices in like an instant 2x premium.
But I think I'm a pleb. Okay. Listen, guys, and I'm saying this for the guys in the audience, because these guys kind of know me. It's just so hard for me because guess what? On this show, you might not remember this because you were probably busy as could be. We might not have known each other as well at the time. But on this show, when Maxi came out, Hex Tangent was right here next to me. And he was telling me it would trade at 1.1. And I'm a pleb. This dude's been buying Bitcoin since fucking 2012. Okay? And he told me it was going to be 1.1. I said it's going to be 2.0. I said it's clear as day to me. 100%. I said I don't have an issue. And I maybe 1.75 in my head, but I was saying 2 for the argument's sake. I was trying to give it hell. And but it did actually stick to 2 for the first couple months. And he won't even acknowledge this to this day, but it's all fun and games. But at the same time, speculative value, when you know every single human in the system and you've been watching it for 500 days straight, isn't that hard to catch a beat on. Because I've been watching this stuff for every day. That's why I had a lot of insight on HEDRON too, because I said I watched everyone sell it to everything. So but then Sam's like, I don't see it without ICOSA. I was like, I don't even know what ICOSA is, but it's all gone. Like it's all gone. And then both of those things had some good gains for us in the future. But here it's a little bit different. It's a little stickier of a price, but it's a little more guaranteed, which is lit. And that's what I was excited about. I was like, because I pay attention every day and I knew that Maxi was going to be 2.0, I had a zero problem putting all my liquid hex in Maxi at the time, which wasn't a lot.
Mhm.
So I have similar feelings about this because I was like, I know what a premium looks like. And I know that hex is going to go up in value. So, and that's my personal opinion. So that really, it is that sticky speculative value based on the exact derivative nature of it. And we have the same feelings about HEDRON. Everyone's like, is HEDRON going to go up or down or sideways? They'll say the same thing about Maxi. It's like only certain people understand how these derivative products really work. And you have to be watching them like a hawk. You have to know the founder. You have to know you're being trusted. We know that. I talked to Richard 3 days ago and I just said, thank you. You saved my life. You changed my life forever. So like we have all this insight on the market, and that's what I'm excited about personally. I know in the future all this could all go mainstream or not or whatever. But right now for my life and the guys that I am talking to, like these are real premiums that you can, they coded in a premium and gave everyone a deal. Like pay attention as what close as you can, because I think the speculative value on you guys in this ecosystem is also there too. I don't know if any of that made sense, but you know,
do you think that premium, because anybody, we had the conversation here, right? When we're like going through it. So Maxi has this, and then Maxi has this, and then you have the liquidity premium, and then you have the HEDRON bonus, and you have this other thing on here, and you're like, it's trading at 1-for-1 or less than 1-for-1. So we could see that this is going to take that. Like it's anybody with like a lot of functioning gray matter could tell that it's not going to fucking sit there for super long. Do you think that is playing into the longevity of Destiny, or like why more people are putting in Destiny? Because they're like, okay, this kind of has a programmed in premium between say 0 and 2x.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's just like, the APY on Destiny, because it has the maxed out longer pays better bonus and it's earning over a longer period of time. The net earnings on that one are greater. So that's part of it. But then also I think that, because it's similar to Maxi in the length, where there's a lot of uncertainty in what it's going to actually earn at the end, that there's like a lot of room to run. There's a lot of blue sky you can paint into those earnings. And so, I think that's probably the big driver in that adoption. And I mean, there's in general, longer pays better, right? So like there's appetite for longer hex staking. But what surprises me is that, like I would have thought that it would have been like in order from longest to shortest, but base is the second largest, and so that one's kind of interesting to me, and and part of it may just be because base was like the first pool that we had announced that we were launching, so maybe just more people knew about it.
I think people care more about the screaming face melting gains in the long term sometimes because they don't have that much USD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there is a premium, like a guy like me, for example. Yeah, I could put 10 grand. Let's say I put everything that I had willing liquid, like everything, just like from whatever into max. Like I'm going to make a play on something that might like hex people stake at 555 because sometimes they say, man, for $300, I might have just saved my future. So maybe there's a lot of guys that want that longer stuff because hex is rather close to those anyway. And maybe they feel like there's a hair of safety in the liquidity of hex rather than, well, I'm not a big player anyway. Now, big players, let's be honest, this is a different ballpark.
But I feel like there's a bunch of people. Yes, what the catcher was saying, I believe is 100% accurate. But I do think that a lot, and I don't know, it's your community and you talk to people a lot more, but I feel like, I mean, if I can get a 50% gain in less than 3, we saw Maxi go from 1-for-1, or there was certain moments in time after launch where it was less than 1-for-1 to, what did you say, you launched at the beginning or end of April? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was April 15th till May 1st was the minting phase.
So,
it stayed 1-to-1 all that time. Yeah, so it's been like 5 months now.
So in 5 months, more, what is that, 2 point something X return in 5 months, right? So that, and like the 2X you could have captured sooner if you desired, right? So if somebody's like, hey, because there's a lot of people in crypto who don't have a lot of funds, right? They have jobs, they have other responsibility, they just haven't taken the discipline required to invest into things in the past, right?
Use those tools.
Now they're like, okay, I can put in $5,000, right? and that $5,000 can now be in right with Deci. It doesn't have as much probability with base, right? It might,
base
could
can only reasonably go up like 10% over the next year,
right? Where I can be like, okay, well, I can put this into here, and then I still can capture the gains. It's almost like Hex on steroids in a sense, because I could take, okay, well, I could hold $5,000 for the Hex. If Hex has a double, that's great. I could hold $5,000 worth of Deci, but then if Hex has a double in that same scenario, because Deci's based on Hex, I'm more likely to have a 4X than a 2X, because you're getting a multiple on a multiple. And I think that I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm that weird person.
Right. Definitely, like, especially now in the bear, because a lot of the people that are there's kind of like the Hex class of 2021, the people that caught the tail end of the big run up, or maybe were just like the top. It's like they want that 10X so bad that they're willing to like lever up the risk, and that's why we've seen so much participation in team. I'm actually surprised by the team participation.
It's funny you bring it up, because I want to
right after you. I want to highlight something too about why I thought that point you just made was like a good reason why. But Sam, please.
No, I want you to finish your point. Sorry to interrupt you, but I want to your point, and then I want to ask you about team.
Because I mean, like Deci, that has like the highest, range of like premium, and the trade-off there is that has also the highest range of possible discount because it's so long. But people, want that high performance and kind of desperately, like pulse chains delayed, Hex price is lower than what, everyone read on Twitter. It wasn't going below 25 cents. And so like,
even though Richard told us literally for 2 years, I mean, I'm sorry, but the only reason I sold my Maxi at 11 cents is because Richard kept telling me the market was going to tank. So listen, guys, this is important. This is important because there's a lot of guys in this chat that don't actually listen to Richard Hart. They just circle him. It's not, he tells you a lot, very in depth about liquidity, the weight of liquidity, and the market itself. So if you just use your noodle, then that's when you have to use your noodle, okay? So he tells you things like that, and I say, I have 21 cent Maxi, and I just 2x'd on it because I put all my Hex in there. The market's screaming down from 56 cents to 21. Richard's telling everyone we're going to 11K Bitcoin. Okay, maybe this isn't the best time for me. That doesn't mean the asset wasn't created beautifully. You know what I mean? So it's very important to understand. For the last 500 days, everyone in Hex has made this much money. Understand this. That means half of the Hex people have made this much money. Yes, you can trade and make 2Xs and 3Xs, whatever. You know what I mean? If you're a Hex staker, you've made a 2X in the last 500 days. In crypto, that's no money. Okay? So that's the truth. So you're dealing with the actual ecosystem. Everyone else is dealing with the early adopters. That's the problem. Because I'm not an early adopter. I got in at 2 cents. It went up 56. I freaked out. It went down. Now I'm wrecked. Okay? So it's like I understood a lot of that, and I have a lot of insight. But at the same time, Hexicans pretend like Hexicans are early adopter Hexicans. That's in their head it is, because they're like, oh, well, if we get a 3X from here, I'm going to have $7 trillion. And you're like, well, great. That's good for the ecosystem. Guys, shut the fuck up and go home so I can actually make this an ecosystem, because new people are flying in and they're wrecked. You don't know what it's like to be wrecked anymore. I guess you'd think you could extrapolate it a little bit, but stop saying, and then I talk about HEDRON and stuff, a great opportunity for new investors, just at a baseline. Like, let's learn, let's get involved. Let's think about this shit. And guys are saying I'm creating a narrative so people don't buy Hex anymore. And I'm like, really? I'm creating a narrative? Everyone in Hex is wrecked, you fucking moron. Wrecked. The guy whose $12 million mansions I was at this weekend, he spent 250 grand on Hex at 21 cents. And he still has a smile on his face while you tell me I'm telling people they're not getting a good deal. Listen,
well, we should stop talking to Dipcatcher, right? Because this is not part of the ecosystem of Hex. But no, these people are just.
That was my rant. I'm done. But again, I love you understand that. You must have thought about, there's some guys in this thing that are really looking for something, man. And I'm building, and derivative products are a part of nature. Did you see a little bit of a premium, and in general in Hex, getting lopsided to one side, a little too top heavy? I know the staker class makes a lot of money, and you could have done 800 stakes that trickle out over every day, but that's not how it really works for everyone. So I'm curious about your perspective on Hex. Did you think Hex could be better? Is that why you started this protocol, just because you thought it could be a little better?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was like a clear problem that was, present, that, it was already a problem. Like if you read the Hex audit, they said you should cut the max length stake from 50 years down to 15 years. They actually recommended 10. They said cut down the max length stake because you may fill up the block, the Ethereum block, like for the number of like just based on the block size. So the audit, you can read it, on the website, it recommends the, shorter max length stake, because if changes in the Ethereum network were to happen, then it could fill the blocks up, and then, those stakes would be bricked. And so they had warned him to decrease it by 3. But then during that time, the Ethereum network increased the cost of that gas cost of that, computation by 3. And so we're actually at levels that the auditor was kind of concerned with. And so that was when it all clicked to me for, just like solving that alone, is that, because right now, like 2 max length stakes can fit per block, 2, like, then that, and if there's hundreds of max length stakes ending every day, especially now, then, that's, and then who knows what other DeFi activity is going to be happening, or NFT stuff, or just like other network activities going on.
That's a giant risk. Like there's going to be people who won't, there's going to be a decent portion, given ceteris paribus, like where we currently are now, there's going to be a decent portion of people who've staked for 15 years who, and multiple hundreds or multiple thousands of dollars, who will not, it's going to be bricked. Like that phone that you try to update with software that wasn't.
Say your point again, Sam, just because I talk to Sam all the time. What was your exact point there?
I have not read this audit, but I'm fascinated by this. I would like to. So what, please go ahead.
Yeah. Just that the Hex stakes, like the longer they are, because it takes more gas to, compute the interest for a longer term, because it has to calculate for every day. The longer stakes, only 2 max length stakes can fit on a single Ethereum block. So Ethereum blocks happen every 10 seconds. They can fit a set number of information, and the information required to calculate a max length Hex stake, as of now, as of the current Ethereum block size, which could increase. Ethereum has a culture of increasing the block size. So it could, the problem could get a little bit better, but there's limits to how high you can reasonably increase it. And so in 15 years, not even in 15 years, like starting in like 12 years, kind of as these, a lot of stakes come due, many of them just won't be feasible to end, because there's going to be so much competition for filling up those blocks that, like, the hexagons are going to be driving the gas price up. Kind of like how we saw these like gas wars with like NFT launches, where people would be artificially bidding up the gas price to block out other transactions so that they can like mint. They'd look at their qualities, and if they didn't like them, they'd throw it away and remint. And so there are these like gas wars where people were like flooding the blocks in order to like block other people from being able to mint their NFTs. We may see similar activity if only 2 of these can fit per block, and just like a lot of competition for that alone can drive the gas price up. And the higher that the gas price goes, the less of those stakes that are going to be reasonable to end. And so it's basically like a transfer of Hex from the people that can afford to end their stakes from the people that can't. And so that was the main reason why we built these pools, is because, okay, like if the gas price is shockingly high, then if we bundle everyone's stake into one, then those people are going to have a competitive advantage against people who just hold stakes on their own. And so, that was the main reason why there was a change in Ethereum that caused this problem to get worse. And so that was the whole genesis of why I actually took it seriously to build these pools.
So this is fascinating, Catcher. I appreciate you sharing the insights with us. Sharding, right? So the segmentation, that's my understanding of it from an elementary level. The segmentation of the blockchain. So maybe taking certain things and putting them into, validators and or nodes or whatever, so that only pertinent information can be in the block. will this, because could that solve this, or the way that it's currently structured, because you can't change anything? It's just like what you're saying basically means that nobody should ever stake with go.hex.com, in my point of view, because that's a risk you're taking, that you're just like, cool, I'm going to take this risk when I clearly see this is a potential issue. Like there's zero doubt that this is a potential issue that could be solved, right? But we don't know. We don't know how this is going to play out. 15 years, especially in crypto, is an eternity, right? So what is have you looked into sharding, and how could this help with this potentially?
Yeah. So things like sharding could help, because it, you're, not every transaction is competing in the same kind of like arena. It's like certain transactions are filling up these blocks, but but it still is like a massive consumer of gas, that like, even though, even if there's like some type of like, horizontal scaling like that, it could just, okay, maybe it makes the problem half as bad, but it's already thousands of times worse than it should be. And so so things like that could happen, but I don't see why Ethereum would do things to decrease the cost to the user. Like if you had a business and you sold a product that was so in demand that people are willing to pay a super high price for it, like, why would you lower the price?
You have more insight than us, because they all say they want to lower them. So for me, when I see Vitalik saying we want to lower them, I'm like, oh, he's such a nice guy.
I think what he means is that they like, and I think this is part of what is going into like the, their development roadmap. It's not so that the Ethereum blocks will be lowered. I think it's to make it so that it's a more favorable environment for layer 2 solutions to offload a lot of activity, and then to, rather than like every single like NFT thing happening and logging that on the public immutable permissionless behemoth of Ethereum, a lot of like lower value or, less urgent activity should kind of happen elsewhere, and then it's like regularly settled there. I think that's more because like all the ETH2 stuff, it's nothing on the user's end. It's more on the it's more like on the blockchain developers experience, is what the things that are improving. And so I think that's probably what they're trying to do. But since Hex is an immutable contract, it's like, it's not like Hex can necessarily be like transitioned to a layer 2. Like Hex is logging to the chain, and so even though those things could reduce the load from elsewhere, it's still the problem, just that the sheer gas consumption of
do you like $500 end stake fees? Do you like not being able?
So
I mean, that literally happened to me. $500 end stake fees are crazy, bro. And when you're broke and wrecked, you do it anyway, because it's like you want to see your first hex stake come out. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not every day of my life isn't premium arbitrage time. Sometimes you just get excited because your first hex stake ever is coming out, and you get uber wrecked. Yeah. When you take it out.
I talked to, if you've seen the website hexfire.io, this guy has produced a lot of good stat sites, and him and I go back and forth a lot. And so he actually recently built like a calculator. I don't know if it's on his website yet, but that kind of lets you estimate it's like a really good end state gas calculator. And just when you like, if you ignore the gas price and just see the gas consumption and like how many Ethereum blocks will be filled with stakes, like that is shocking. And so
Sam, you might not have known this, but the actual end stake fee, you might know this, but the actual end stake fee is a duration. I mean, because every day at 8 p.m. So it's every day at 8 p.m. for 15 years, a long time, fam. That's a lot of gas, fam. What if Ethereum doesn't get their shit together, fam? Guys, I hate to say it, but you don't know the future, even though sometimes you think you do. Nobody does. Ethereum could go to 0, bro. Like, for real. I'm not saying that. I think the chances of that happening are very slim. That's why I have all my eggs in the Ethereum basket for the most part right now. But at the same time, it's like all these layer 1s are coming out, all this other stuff. These end stake fees are ridiculous. There's a lot of negative externalities to putting your stuff in a hex stake for 15 years, and I'm sick of people saying there's not any.
Yeah, and that's why we bundle them into one, because when the day comes and there's hundreds or thousands of, and because they start stacking up, because your stake ends and you're like, oh shit, gas too high, I'll wait till tomorrow. Now all those yesterdays, so like they all just kind of bundle up, and it'll be very competitive to end your stake. And meanwhile, the Maxi people or the perpetual pool people will just kind of be laughing to the bank, because rather than paying for the gas on their own, even if you have a small position, maybe just contribute to the gas pool that reimburses the person that pays for the gas, and so
I'll pay the fucking gas pool because I'll be so stoked out on it by that point. That's what I'm saying. He already knows this because he's got so many friends. We got so many friends. There's guys with money or a little. I would love to be beneficial to my peoples. And I would love to be like, hey, tweet out that I paid for the damn thing, but actually because I like Dip Catcher and them. But I'm just saying me, but like in general, I know there's guys that are like that and they have way more money than me. So that would just be like a little treat for them to say, hey, thanks, bro. And I'm sure there's a function so you could just, whoever can pay it. Yeah.
The contract saves who pays it, so people can, throw them a bone. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a real it's not something, it's not something that's necessarily urgent, especially right now, because, it was urgent, like kind of when we launched. It was really urgent last year. Like, and that was only for, 800-day-old stakes, and there's on hexnoob.com, there's like an end stake gas calculator. And that is where, like, and then I've been sharing on my stream the historical Ethereum gas prices, and there are times where the weekly average of the Ethereum gas price is like 500 GWay, and so if you type in like 500 GWay on the HexNoob end stake calculator, like as if what that means is that your stake is ending at like during an Ethereum bull market, pretty much. Like the amount of ETH that it costs to end a stake is like shocking, and who knows what the ETH price will be.
Real quick point that Gains Club made, got to highlight this point because it's actually some fantastic alpha. And me and Gains Club go back and forth all the time, but it's always fun because he's probably way smarter than me. Since the PLS copy is free, you can unstake your PHEX stake. Use that to pay for your legacy hex stake. Hey, that is cool though, that they kind of like, Richard was like, man, because Richard definitely didn't know that the Ethereum gas fees would be this heavy. When he made Hex, come on, I don't think he did at least.
Yeah, it was pennies.
So really, it's cool that he made like, hey guys, I know that I made my product on this, and I'm going to make it on this link too. Maybe you can get some free funds from that. But that's
but wouldn't you be sad if you had to like sell one of them and the other, like because yesterday I tweeted like an image where it's like a chart where it shows like low ETH fees, high ETH fees, low pulse fees, high pulse fees, and like what happens like on those. And like people that solo stake, they're only happy in one situation, and that's low ETH fees and low pulse fees. And they're like sad if there's like low ETH fees and high pulse fees, and they're sad if there's high ETH fees and low pulse fees, because you're missing out on one of them. But when it's high ETH fees and high pulse fees, it's like they're like wrecked. But then the stake poolers are thrilled because they have no problem ending their stake, and all the money that people are bleeding out, it goes to the people that can afford to end the stake, both through the late end stake penalties and because those are people that could have been competing with you as a seller who are illiquid for longer. They staked for 15 years. They thought they're going to, get their money, cash out, but now they can't. And so that user is not competing with you in the market. And so it's basically like they're just transferring their money directly to the people that can afford to end the stake. And so that's why, I'm so, like intense about this topic, is because like, while that benefits us, it really comes at a lot of users' expense, and that doesn't quite feel right to me. And so that, and that's what, is, and it's better. It's better to prepare for the worst case scenario. Cause like, what if the gas fees are cheap on ETH and on Pulse? Then you still experience all the awesome benefits of staking in a pool with the liquidity, the trading, the yield on yield opportunities. So it's kind of like it's like a
minting, which
no-brainer.
didn't exist at the time. HEDRON minting didn't exist at the time, and on Maxi you got a 4x. for all that hex. There's a 4x attached to that, if I remember correctly. So, and at the time, nobody was thinking about that. That was the most negligible thing in the world to people at the time. I was thinking about that a lot. I was like, I want to get involved in Maxi because I think HEDRON's going to have more value once hex, once it all does its things again. I didn't know that ICOSA was going to come out and all that stuff, but that's not the point. The point is you were doing every added benefit for the hex staker. Another point that Crypto Gains Club made before I switch over to Sam is T-shares are great for airdrops. That is one thing that T-shares are cool for. Now, a lot of us have T-shares, so it's kind of cool. Like, you know what I mean? So, but for the newer users that don't have many T-shares, one cool thing about it is that a lot of the guys use it as a subgroup to do their airdrops because it seems to be like a beneficial subgroup.
I don't know if I actually see that as a good group personally, because who you're only going to be rewarding is people who are whales who got in early on it, right? But
people play with it, so it kind of distributes different.
You would have to distribute it slightly differently, I think, to be like I think there's a way to reward in a different way, like Paul's dog coin type of thing, potentially. Yeah, but that's a little bit maybe off.
Yeah, it can either attract a wealthy audience that like maybe wanted to rotate into something else, but also it may just like be endless sell pressure, or at least sustained sell pressure. And so I think that with HEDRON it's kind of both, where it both attracted people that really got latched onto this thing, and then but also it's like sometimes I look at the HEDRON I'm making, I'm like, this is shocking, and I'm like, and I know there's plenty of people with way more than
doing
the
same thing, yeah.
And so it's like, okay, like but I think it does, and we really hope the HEDRON goes up a lot, because that's like a core part of Maxi. That's a core part of team, and so we definitely support a very high HEDRON price.
So let's switch to team, right? Because I was thinking about team, right? I was thinking about all these, right? We've got base and trio, lucky and desi, and then you have team, and team's a little bit of a wild card on here. But there's one cool thing about, there's a bunch of cool things about team, but one of them is that the size of team is limited, while the size of the other pools, the perpetuals, are not limited. So that means that if somebody has the belief that base and trio and lucky and desi are going to grow over time, as in like 1 year from today when base comes due, if the ecosystem is bigger, if you guys are continue building. I saw your tweet the other day and you're like, hey, I could do this for the rest of my life or something thereabouts, because you're enjoying the process. Probably you're enjoying networking with people that are fucking awesome and things like this, right? And the ability for all of that HEDRON to get sucked to team, because those pools can really expand over time. Like team can stay the same size, but the base contract could be 10x the size. And even if there's only a little bit of appreciation in terms of new users or new money coming in, there's going to be people who forget their shit. There's going to be people who lose their keys, or their shit burns down, or XYZ or whatever. And like, it's just inevitable for that pool to grow at some rate, assuming any adoption in crypto, period. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, can you talk about that with team?
Yeah. So, with team, you can mint it 1-to-1 with Maxi. So all the minting phases are all 21 days. So team right now is undergoing minting. So far, there's been like 30.84 million team minted. And so 30 million Maxi has been minted into team, which is pretty amazing. And it really shows, I mean, kind of what we were talking about earlier about, people want that 10x. The pools they're mainly bound to the hex price, but since team is kind of like starting from zero, it is, like you're saying, like the income sources from the pools are potentially unbounded, whereas the supply of team only goes down with early end stake penalties. And it's, max supply is, the number of Maxi minted into team times 2, and then it only goes down. So the, like, kind of that dynamic there, it has the qualities of something that can go, like 10,000x, 100,000x, like, hey Siri, what's the world's largest number X type of thing. And so so team is really attractive to users in that sense. And what it's the whole purpose of Team is for it to be this growth engine for the perpetuals, because the earnings of Team are it's entirely related to the size of these perpetual pools, where because it only gets paid out of the HEDRON, which is actually very small. It's actually
Correct.
surprisingly small. Like it's like it was so small that it wasn't worth building a whole accounting system to deliver that HEDRON to the stake pool participants, because it's like less than 1% of the value. And it's like, okay, if you want that, just like, okay, take 1% of the value you got at the end and just buy the HEDRON. And so, or, take 1% of it before and just buy it. And like, that's no big deal. So it wasn't large enough to like build the accounting system to distribute that to the participants. So the simplest solution was just, okay, just send a Team. That's, part of the incentive, because the Team earning, the amount that the Team gets should be higher. It really should be. I think it's too low. But so adding the HEDRON into that that incentive for Team to grow these pools was, like a nice kind of like, there's some diversity in that income source, which I think is important. But
it helps
Team is
HEDRON
like
too. It helps the floor of everything, all of the products in the ecosystem. It just holds the floor up. It's just so much higher because of all the amounts of hex you're getting in there that people are deciding not to mess with. It's truly incredible how this stuff really works. Like
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and so Team, it gets paid out. So base stake ends every year. The trio stake ends every 3 years. So and there's a thing called the Maxi 369 rebate, where 30% of the Maxi that's minted into Team is just redistributed to the Team stakers who just stake during years 3, 6, or 9. And so, year 3, we'll have the first trio stake, which is like 3 years in one. We'll have base, which is, happening every year. And then we'll have some Maxi. So some years there's like big payouts that just when things line up, same with like year 7, when you have lucky and base ending. Year 21, you'll have lucky, base, and trio ending. And so there's years where these overlap. And so it kind of introduces some good volatility in there, where like year on year, there could be way big differences in the earnings. And
so explain, because I understand what you're saying about the bonuses, but there's going to be a lot of people where they just, that was over their head, like a little bit more in depth. So you got the 3-year bonus, effectively the 7-year and the 9-year, of how those are going to be paid out to people, because like a lot of that is so, we're like in deeper than a lot of people, but there's a lot of people who just that went over their head. So just start at T0 and then just kind of walk through how that works.
Yeah. So Team stakers, they earn income from the perpetual pools. So they earn a little bit of the yield from all the pools that are ending. As they end, the contract pays a little bit of it to Team. And then also there's this bonus earnings called the 369 Maxi rebate, where 30% of the Maxi that was used to mint Team just gets paid out to the Team stakers during years 3, 6, and 9. So, those are right now the two known, you trustless, like you don't need to believe me that it'll happen. Like it's in the contract, you can read it. So those are the two known,
and you wrote it live,
sources for Team stakers. And so people like Team because it gives you a little bit of exposure to all the pools. It has its own dynamics because it's strictly limited in supply and only goes down in supply as people early end stake, and because of the some years there can be extraordinarily large payouts. Perhaps in those years everyone's locked up, and what happens to the price if it's just like every coin is locked up competing for this staker yield. And so it's got its own dynamics there, where it's not so much coupled to the hex price, even though the hex price is a big driver in it, because that's the value of the earnings comes down to the value of the hex that it's earning. But Team on itself, because of its own supply and demand dynamics, that one's a wild card where who knows what can happen.
So on that regard, so there's 2 more questions on Team. The first one I want to touch on is the fees, and then I want to ask about the collateralization. So if I stake Team for an entire year, there is, and then I decide at month 9 for whatever reason I'm not going to finish that 1-year stake in Team, there's a 3.69% fee on there. What happens to that fee? I
It
wasn't
stays.
sure.
It just stays permanently burnt. So when you stake your team is burnt. Just like when you stake Hex, it gets burnt and then it gets reminted. So that's just how it is with team. So say you
100 shares.
yeah,
or
stake
whatever.
like 1,000, or say you staked 100,000 team, then you decided to early end stake 100,000 team, then you would only get back 100,000 team minus 3,690, and then that 3,690 penalty, it just stays permanently burnt. So it's as if it's distributed to all the other team stakers, but it's not actually sent to them. It's just everyone else, their piece of the pie grew because the person who early end staked, they lost that portion of their stake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was looking at your site or one of your resources the other day, and I just wasn't sure. You had probably told me, and I just couldn't remember. And I wanted to ask you. Okay, the collateral, right? So, and I'm not trying to like hyperbolize this anyway, but like for example, for people who are listening, UST and Luna, right? And like that shit wasn't collateralized, and then you have things like, say, Maxi, right? 100% collateralized. The base, all these other contracts are 100% collateralized, and there's something behind them to help substantiate the value there. Where do you think? Because from my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, right? Team is 50% collateralized roughly, right? And it's not even like fully because it's in the future, like depending on how people view like collateralization, because it's not like you could redeem it. There's a certain period of time in the future, depending on how people like define what that means. So how do you think that might like sit when 22 days comes out?
Yeah, well, so
it's already trading now, though.
There's really not any like purported collateral, or like there's not any price target that it must hit that it uses that collateral to have. Like it's and it earns yield from the pools, and it has some and like that bonus, that rebate that's paid to stakers, but that's just like another yield source. It's not like that's like backing the coin, because it's not like you can redeem the coin for anything. It's just like comes in as normal staker earnings.
So more so like DCF type of evaluation model. You're describing, I think.
Yeah, kind of. Where like you can measure the earnings, and you can project the future earnings, and then how much you think that's worth based on how certain it is, and what you think the value of those earnings is actually going to be. And so that's more of what drives it, as opposed to like, whereas like with Maxi, because there's like a redeemable aspect to it, it's kind of tightly coupled to that. Like that's kind of the center of gravity around it. Like, and it can oscillate as the markets ebb and flow, but it's like, if the price of any of the pools got like unreasonably high, then it's like a no-brainer to sell. And it's kind of like, who would be buying like way above? But like the team, because it's not coupled to anything, and it's only based on the supply and the demand, then the price could get unreasonably high. And it kind of, but also goes the other way too. Like if, the market thinks that, the value of the earnings is going to be not much, then perhaps the team price goes down, and then maybe new people step in and take possession of those coins, and then it readjusts it readjusts that that side of it. And so it's purely based on just what the market appraises the value. And there's not really that was actually, it's funny you said, because the original idea was to make it so that like 10 or 20% of the Maxi could have been redeemed from the team, like where you actually burn your team and reclaim 0.2 Maxi, almost as like a 80% price floor, because like if it got below that, you could just exit by burning it, and then that would kind of renormalize. But that just wasn't part of it. So we thought about introducing some type of like redeemable collateral, just to kind of backstop the value. But but we thought it's probably better to let the price go as low as possible, because the lower that a price could go, like Hex right out the gate went like 95% down, and that's why there was that quoted 10,000x. It wouldn't have had that number would not be 10,000x had it not been for like a big sell-off. And so, big sell-offs, we didn't necessarily want to limit that because it, gasses up those gains for the people that are right place, right time in the game. And so
Guys watching crypto in the morning.
That's why they're really what but we definitely thought about like kind of, making it where like the team was, backed by that like worst case scenario collateral plus the earnings. But that was just, that never materialized. We thought it'd be better without it.
That's interesting. I love this. This has been super valuable for me, and hopefully a lot of people who are watching, because there's 160 people watching, and only 50% of those people have pressed the like button. So
yeah, first of all, guys, smash the like button. Are you serious? Are you serious? We're streaming on 3 different channels right now. So let me do a little shill real quick, because now I don't have to shill the Vegas tournament anymore. Because first of all, KSBD TV knocked that Vegas golf tournament out of the absolute water. I mean, they crushed it. It was fun. There was no egos. It was hot, and no one even cared because we were having such a good time. There was golfers, there was non-golfers, there was merch, there was winners, there was everything you could imagine, food and lots of water. There was lots of water at the golf tournament, unlike some of the other events where GRC could not find water to save his goddamn life. I was about to have a heart attack. Hey, I was about to talk to Richard, and I was like level 10 dehydration, like looking for H2O and like screaming. Everyone thought I was on drugs and like messed up. I was really just thirsty. But that's not the point. The point is, for everyone, I'm going to be doing, hit the like, first of all, and retweet Dipcatcher's tweet. I'll post it below right here. I just posted it. Make sure you retweet that. Vegas was incredible. Knocked it out of the water. I'm going to do a recap tonight where I'm just going to invite everyone that was there, and whoever wants to jump on, we can just chit chat about our experience, because I'm trying to get Sam Stolt to go to the next one. And that's one of my main goals in life. Okay. So he doesn't know
might be a challenge.
he doesn't know my devious plans, but I'm willing to accept donations to get this, because I know him. It's never about the money, but he's just like, ROI, loved its work, need to stay here. But I'm telling you, I'll figure something out. I'm a little sneaky bastard. Okay, so
did
yeah, go on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hit the like, hit the retweet. Crypto in the Morning is doing a separate channel, guys. I'm going to get it to 1,000 subscribers, and then we're going to merge over. And I'm going to keep this channel for crypto reactions, crypto news, all the little stupid stuff I like to do when I'm at my computer by myself. Alpha alerts, Richard Hart live stream, watch parties, all of these type of things, because that's really just what I like to do. But I want to be more organized, and I want to make this channel mainstream so we can get this Hex Maxi HEDRON Hex Hearts Mafia, Richard Hart Mafia to the moon. And I think that I can help with all of this. So what I'm doing is I'm switching my channel to a team oriented channel so we can work together more appropriately. And I want 1,000 subscribers on that channel. We're live on it now. I'm going to drop the link below because Bullish is smarter than me, so he tells me how to do things right. So guys, we're going to switch that over to this, and then Sam's going to have his channel. I'm going to have my channel, and Crypto in the Morning is going to have its channel. Make sure you go over there and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, get it going over there, and tell everyone about that link. I'll be shilling that when we're at 1,000. We're going to do the merge. Go on, boys.
Dipcatcher. So people who are, trying to be value oriented in terms of how they interact with other people, which I've chatted with you maybe 4 times or something so far. And I don't know you in a personal, like man type of thing, but that's what I see from you based on your conversations, what I see you putting out on Twitter. And one thing that I do know about people who have that as like their essence, their core, is that people who try to provide value to other people, first of all, they win in the long run, but also they are going to never stop trying to provide value. And so this is a roundabout way of trying to ask you what's next. Because I know you've already thought about this. I don't even have to like guess that you didn't think about this. I know that you're already like, you don't have to share what it is, but maybe some ideas or something like that. Because you're going to continue building. People who build and provide value to other people don't stop. Like you have something that's super successful. You're like, fucking awesome. This is great. How do we make even more success? Right. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. I mean, thank you. That really means a lot. And, that's kind of, I do feel like I kind of live in service of others. And that's, really something that it's really important to me. And so, So yeah, you're right, and also that, not even just that. There's kind of this just like whole like creative outlet that all this is, and and also I feel like it's entertaining. Like people, there's entertainment value. Aside from the like financial aspect of all this stuff, I feel like there's entertainment value in seeing people like create stuff, put themselves out there, and so I try to kind of hit all those pieces there. But as far as what's coming up with these, it's like right now we're in the middle of this launch, but and Golki and I are probably going to announce something today. We maybe just I tweeted the other day. I said retweet if you would want to stake your perpetual pool tokens to amplify your hex yield.
Well, let's find that tweet.
Perhaps,
I'll find that tweet for everybody. We can make sure it's word for word. But go ahead.
So we're gauging interest on that.
No shit. There's going to be a boatload of fucking interest in that.
And and the ideas that we have, one, they're kind of consistent with everything that we build. Very simple, very simple. And two, I think it introduces some exciting dynamics to the pools. And yeah, you'll probably hear the full details, today. But yes, perhaps something along those lines. But
that's I knew that there was more to that.
They can't stop, Sam. You know that. These guys are just
the goal is to get it out before the minting phase is done.
Guys, we're gonna just cut it. Okay, that was enough for the peoples, because they also have to study themselves. It is important that just because he says something like that, don't just think, oh, well, someone's going to say it on YouTube eventually, and then no, because a lot of these things, limited time offer to a degree, even if it's not all, like, you can always get in potentially. But I'm telling you, if you learn quick, you're 3 months ahead, you're 2 months ahead, you're 1 month ahead of the guys that aren't locked in. So this is your opportunity. Things like this, Dipcatcher likes creating these opportunities because, one, it's fun, two, it's illegal, and three, it helps the 50% of stakers that potentially haven't seen what Hex really is. We all know what Hex is capable of if you've seen what it's done on a bull run. But you know how people's heads work too. So you're trying to fix some of those buffers within the system that guys like me who are new, I got hacked for 40 grand because I was in a smart contract. I wish I had that fucking money. I really, 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 really do. And I took the L and I moved on. Whatever, guys. It's all about, if you're safe and healthy and have friends, at the end of the day, everything's fine. So, but at the end of the day, I locked myself into a smart contract before I was ready. So that's why on this show, I like to get everyone ready. I want you to be ready for the stuff that goes on here. I want you to be ready with your treasures and your separate computers. Sometimes it's less about understanding the cryptos in particular, but understanding the entire learning process. Dipcatcher and Sam have been through many rigorous learning processes in their life, and they had nothing to do with crypto at some point in their life. And same with me. Now I'm a little bit maybe newer to that, but I spent years perfecting my pharmacology and my nutrition. I'm not saying I'm doing that all the time anymore, as like I wish I should. Sam certainly does. But that's not the point. The point is I knew what it was like to spend 4 years detailed every single day, focused on something and reaping the rewards of that in my life. Real rewards, real self-confidence, real change in perspective that I saw other people around me weren't gaining. And then I came into this industry and I felt similar. There's guys out there that want to change and want to be better and want to keep growing and want to be realistic about the future. And then there's guys that are willing to work and do those things. And we're so early. That's why I'm so excited, guys. I know I just talk like crazy, but we're so early. If you were at the penthouse party and you saw a couple of these guys, DCC, Funding Gym, everyone's up there. They're here for a reason, guys. These are not dumb guys. We're all in this together and we're going to the moon anyway. I promise. If GRC never streams again, you're going to the moon. If Sam never streams again, you're going to the moon. If Maxi was not created, you're going to the moon. But we want to make this amazing and change lives because we're so early, and we can. We still can. Sam's so excited about building and doing things because he can. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, I can do this because like if he wanted to make an electric car, let's be honest, that feat would be a lot more difficult, right, Sam? You'd be like, I got to compete with fucking everyone and their mother right now. And Elon's playing the fiddle with all of them. You know what I mean? So this is an opportunity for guys like you and me who have drive, who have ambition, God-fearing men. You know what I mean? That I want to make the world a better place. This is less about my money. Making money's easy, guys. You know, it's not that you can accept money from anyone and ruin your career in 5 minutes. I bet Dipcatcher people have wanted him to do shit for them. And he was like, no, I would rather my career just be mine. Because, and Sam, you know how all of that works. So guys, I just think we're in an amazing place. I think we're so early. Seeing the people in person made me so bullish on Hex. I'm so more bullish now. These people are the smartest people in the world. There was no egos out there. It was exactly what I wanted to find. I wanted to find a place where I could dance on the dance floor and not care what anyone was thinking. And that's and it means a lot to me because those are the people. I've done great things in my life. I was a part of Alcoholics Anonymous too for a long time. And I had a similar feeling. There was a lot of people doing things because they wanted others to be better. And it was a different, you know what I mean? But I just feel a lot of the synergy. I think Sam does too. I think Bullish does too. I think you do as well. And I think we're all in an amazing situation.
Any last closing words here? Or if you'd like to, or have the time to come on before if you guys do decide to launch, you know, staking or want to get that out to more people, because in reality, like, you're like, I've said the same thing over and over and over and over and over again for the last month. And what that means is that you're familiar with the message, but in reality, most people don't understand this stuff, right? Most people don't. So if you want to come on again as this, you know, perpetual, if you do, let us know, because
I'd love to.
The information needs to proliferate faster, right?
Yeah.
And bring Gold Key on too, because, you know, if my mom and all my friends.
Still a man crush there?
That guy's hair is so luscious. I mean, there's something I've never seen hair like this guy. It should be in a museum. It's like, it's thick, it's blonde. The man's 6. And these guys, I mean, other than that's always just a joke. I'm sure you play the same joke when you're out because these guys are truly the salt of the earth when we're around. But it was such a pleasure meeting you when we were out. And just like in general, I cannot wait to connect in the future. And it makes me happier about my life to think that I can hang out with guys like this in the future. Remember, Sam, what do I always tell to you? I don't have any friends. Why? Because I don't like anyone. I think they're stupid. And then now it's like, nope, I have friends. They want to talk about detail. They also want to talk about family. They also want to talk about everything. And I'm so bullish. GRC is talking about Gold Key, like the scene from Thor no, seriously. I had no idea that guy was like, these guys are the best.
Dude, he wasn't always like that. When 5th grade, 6th grade, literally like tall, skinny, such a dweeb.
Now he's just like shades, backwards hat, vibes on 100, because we're all just living our best life now, I think. I think we all found confidence in the group of people we're in. And like, he just said that he knew the kid in 5th grade. So if you're new here, buy their shit, because just think about that. They've known each other since 5th fucking grade, and they work together every day. They've made many projects together, and now they're doing this, and they already have financial success to a degree. Obviously, I don't know their specifics, but let's be honest. We've all been here for a while. We've learned about some of this stuff, and you're smart enough to program your computer, and then $150 million goes into it. I'm not smart enough for that one yet. Yeah, but you guys are changing the world, and you're really doing an amazing job, and you are going to be extremely successful.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I already feel just the number of people that came up to us thanking us for build at Vegas, like, you know, that came up and just were so grateful for what we've built and what we're doing. Like that was enough for me. You know what I mean? Like that fulfillment just from people that were opening up about just like how, you know, they were just trying to find their bearings and Hex, and then they found Maxi, and then they've like, it protected them from the bear market. Like that that really means a lot to me, just how grateful people were for that. And that's really like what we're doing this for. And so, it's definitely been a very fulfilling experience so far.
There
Thank
were
you.
some people that said, I came to Vegas to meet you, GRC. And I was like, that's the most awkward, pressure-filled statement I've ever heard in my life. But, it changes you because you're like, maybe I am doing the right thing. Because I have the battles. I was a bad kid when I was young. So I have all the moral battles, like all the time. I'm like, am I doing the right thing? I got to make sure I'm doing the right thing. I got to make sure I'm being intellectually honest, which Sam helps me with. Sam's kind of on autopilot. He's been doing it for a lot longer than me. So he helps me. I just call him and then we just get back to business. But people were like, I wanted to meet you more than anything. And I was like, why? You know what I mean? But then I get it because I am on a mission and I am a leader and I want to continue to be that way. And I'm not afraid to put myself out there, whether people make fun of me, whether people, the pool party, all that stuff. I was trying to make everything better while I was there. It wasn't about me. Come on, who you think I'm going to blow up because I'm fucking doing mushrooms and talking on the microphone at the parties? No, I wanted to make everyone feel like it was like a team. I never felt like I was doing something for a team before. I always felt like I was by myself, like making it happen. And now I'm like, oh, give me a mic. Let me see if I can spice this up a little bit for everyone. And it makes me feel more powerful as a human because I'm using my skills for the first time. I was always hitting hammer against wall.
What you're describing is as being part of a community, though, right? And having people that are like-minded, who want to be leaders, who want to make the world a better place, who want to help people. That's what Dipcatcher and Golki are doing, right? And it's beautiful to see all of these things to come together because the leader, the person at the top, pulls in the culture all around them. And when you get a lot of strong leaders who are willing to like help people and pull people up, not just step on other people to get ahead, I'm excited to see what the community can build over the next couple of years because you don't have to be super intelligent to realize that the world needs a lot more people like this. So Dipcatcher, you're fucking awesome. I really appreciate what you guys are doing, what you're building, the team aspect of like how, team, you can utilize that as building a community to help the perpetuals. And then that whole thing helps and perpetuates Hex. This is awesome. All the information. We're going to wrap things up here with some DeFi proof. And unless you have any closing words.
Quick question for everyone, just because I can't remember this question. Now, when Maxi's over, would you name it something else and have to recreate the contract again? Or would you just have to, would it just be able to like use the same name? I'm just curious for like, I don't know how that works.
So like when Maxi ends, since it doesn't restart, it's like a one and done stake. If we wanted to just like relaunch it as a perpetual, then we could just launch it and we could add the same name, but it would have a different address.
Cool. That's all I wanted to know, just specifics, because these are immutable situations. So, and that's really the reason that they're good. So that's the reason that they work. If he didn't want to make it immutable, this would be another conversation. And, but there's pros and cons to doing things a certain way, but you add it on rather than making it durable for change, which is important in crypto, which is a lot of people don't do that. And that's where you come in. That's why they don't have projects that sustain. That's why they have SEC violations. That's why all of the problems that they have are occurred, because they won't do it right, because it's harder to think about, to be honest.
Yeah, like everything that I build, I try to build it to where like if this was the last thing I ever build, it will work forever, but also keeping it flexible and like kind of throwing myself an alley-oop to where I can, like, if I want to build on top of it, then I can. So that's kind of, where everything can always just work forever. Like nothing ever needs some future development to happen. But
now, would you build something completely separate in the future for let's say in a year and a half, and all your stuff is running and the community takes over, and you know how that works? Like people start streaming on your stuff. People like me, I'll be covering this shit every day. You know what I mean? Like you won't even be having to talk about it. So do you think is there any other lanes that you enjoy learning about, or any other projects, or in general, is that something you think about, or are you staying here in your mind for right now because it's obviously happening?
I mean, definitely, right. Like there's, right here and right now is kind of like where, there's a ton of momentum, and, And I feel like I have like a competitive advantage and like a unique thing to bring to this particular space. And then I think kind of as far, like expanding beyond, it'd probably be more in line with doing things to amplify like all of this stuff, so, like what if we made a grayscale backed product that was backed by the perpetuals, or some type of like, what if we issued junk bonds, like literally junk bonds that are backed by these stake pools, or, like different, like that's an area that I think, is important for Hex, is like cracking into the like traditional like fixed income market. And so things like that I think are probably more likely than kind of like, here's a brand new coin, like totally unrelated. Stuff like that's probably more like kind of, building, ecosystem and legacy. Cause it's like, you can only, reasonably, like you can only do like so many things. And it's like starting from scratch is always difficult. Like it's always easier to
And
just
your
kind of,
mind's like, it's
carry
like
forth.
your whole creative thing, like you get stuck, in that moment, in that, because how hard you have to work to get things done too.
Mhm.
Like, you can't just think about everything all at once. Like,
Yeah.
but
if there was like some problem that was like important enough for my audience where they needed me to solve it, then certainly I'd build that regardless of what it was.
and you just let me know if you have any major announcements that you need at any moment in this time in history. If you're not available or something and you're out and about, like I will stream it for you, and you can just pop your face on it with your cell phone.
Perfect.
Like if you know what I mean, instead of going on your
Yeah.
channel, because I stream every day too. So like the audience, I mean, come on, you're doing 1.5 million things, but I stream every day because that algo hits really good when you do that. But that's not talk about all that shit. You know what I'm saying? If you need anything, you let me know.
Yeah, man. Thank you. You guys too. You guys are part of this story and part of this journey, and I'm grateful to have you guys with me.
Thank you
I'm so
for your time.
excited to be here. So in the future, we could be like we were there when it was so little and it was so fun. But yeah, guys, everyone have an amazing day. I've already messaged Jack Levin, Dollar Cost Crypto. I need to learn about the Ethereum merge today. That's what I need to do today, so I can make sure that I know exactly what's going on for you guys, because that's really big news. We're on the Ethereum chain. So watch out for me later. Vegas recap tonight. I'm going to get either Zen Token, Jack Levin on, or DCC or someone. I'm ready to stream today. I'm getting my laptop out right after this, and I'm actually going to look at cryptocurrency, because I'm not just Hollywood. I'm not just Vegas. I'm a crypto guy. So let's get out of here with some DeFi proof. Great to see everyone. If you could clip these out, let's start clipping the good parts out, sending them all around. Do all this stuff, guys. I'm not going to stop. Come on, that's silly. DeFi proof.
Farming with my stables in the decks. I'm holding IRA and it reflects. I'm sticking all this shit on Everest. And I'm balling ECF. Farming with my stables in the decks. I'm holding IRA and it reflects. I'm sticking all this shit on Everest. You see, the problem was these epochs. Now I'm printing daily, man, who need that? I check my APR on BFAT. And the regulation printing big stacks. I simple swapped it for some BNB.